everyone, it's Lynette with Charmed Grammy Crochet. How are you today? I want to thank you all for joining me here on this is Tuesday. Tomorrow is Boggy Creek Live on Lynanne's channel. I hope to be there, but tomorrow is a travel day, and if tomorrow's travel day is anything like the travel day to get us here to Georgia, I may or may not be there, or I will be late. But hopefully that won't be the case. We are currently in Georgia at Fort McAllister State Park, and that is what this video is about. This is not a crochet video. This is a travel video. So if you're not into that, you don't have to watch, and I totally understand. If you want to see Fort McAllister, which is in Richmond Hill, Georgia, never heard of Fort McAllister before we stayed in the state park. It's just a layover stop on our way to Silver Springs, Florida, where we will be for a couple of months. And there's actually a fort in this state park where we are camping. I didn't realize that the fort was in the state park. I knew nothing about it. It's just a stop on the road on our way to Florida, as I said. The thing about this fort, Roy and I have been to several forts over the course of our travels together, not just since we left Ohio in the camper, but we've been to Gettysburg. We did that by car. We did this whole thing through Pennsylvania and into New York, and we saw several battlefields and forts, and there's some forts in Ohio and other places that we've seen, and they're, different than this fort. This one is quite unique. I believe quite unique to not just our travels, but to just being a fort during the Civil War. It is an earthen fort, which means that it is underground. I'm going to give you a brief history, then we're just going to show pictures with placards. You can read the placards and then see what it's talking about. I'll have a picture to go with it. There are some video of going into the tunnels, what they allow. So this was during the Civil War. Fort McAllister is, this was the last fort that Sherman took for the Union. It was taken by land because they couldn't take it by sea. It is in Georgia in like a little islandish kind of area. And they needed to get past here to be able to get to Savannah, where there was big fort and big supply ships come in and out of there. So this is like, if they could get past Fort McAllister, this is my understanding, and read up on it because my history is not real good and I'm piecing this together. But to get past this Fort McAllister, they could take a if they could get in here, it's a 12-mile hike to get to Savannah. So they could bring lots of troops in if they could get past here. And the Union, if they could get past Fort McAllister, they could bring all these troops in and just go this little 12 miles up to Savannah. Not a big deal, and they could attack by land in that manner and take out because Savannah was a big, from the ocean you get there, and they big supplies and all that would come through there. So it was important to be able to not allow ships from the Union to get through to Savannah. So the Confederates built Fort McAllister, and they leveled the ground and built mounds. So you'll see a picture, and it doesn't look like you're seeing anything, but it's these big grass mounds. And they were high, and I think tunnels underneath for traveling around, so you could get through the whole thing underground. doesn't look like anything from afar. You don't even know. If you're unsuspecting, you're in trouble. Because you can't even tell that there's anything there. It just looks like hills. And they would have hills, and then they would have like a valley, and that's where they would put a cannon. All different weights of bombs, cannonballs. And they would heat these cannonballs, and you'll see that too, but they would heat these cannonballs, put them in the cannon, and fire them at the wooden ships, and they would catch fire from these heated cannonballs. I never knew they did anything like that. I don't know if they did that everywhere, but they did that here. Again, do your own research. I don't like reading about history. I like learning about history. I like seeing the history. But I'm not going to read about it. It puts me to sleep, to be quite honest. So, that's what happened here. They would bring these wooden ships, because that's what most of the ships were. Bring these wooden ships. They would fire on the earthen fort, and they would make big holes. In like craters in the earth, some as big as 8 feet. And at night, when they quit firing, because it's dark and they don't do that at night, the soldiers would come out from their barracks in the ground, patch up the holes, and they're good to go. So they just replaced what they call divots, even if it was an 8-foot hole. The mounds are so big and they were so far down that they would be able to just patch it back up, put the dirt back in there, and they're good for another fight. So that was what was happening. Well, then at the end, the Union brought in a ship that was made of iron. The iron ship could not be hurt by the cannonballs. Even the heated cannonballs did not hurt that ship. The ship could not hurt the ground. They battled for 17 hours, and it did no good. Well, word got to Sherman, who then brought in troops overland. The area and the forces here were not great enough. They knew they weren't going to be great enough to fight off water and land attacks. And Sherman was getting close. And then another boat arrives, and it's a wooden boat, but it is fighting. Now there's a 3-way battle here, and I don't quite understand the 3-way battle, but there's a 3-way battle, and ships were sunk. So you'll see some of the debris from the ships that were sunk, and there's placards everywhere, so you'll see that. And just pause the video, read the placard if you so desire, and then go on. Anyway, the Confederate general knew that there was no way they were going to beat the 6,000 or whatever troops were coming with Sherman and be able to battle these boats on the water. They didn't have enough men, supplies, whatever. They weren't going to survive that. So he sent home all of the elderly men and all of the men that had families. They all left, and that left them 200 men to battle here for the final battle, because they knew they were going to lose, but they were going to give it their all. And these 200 single young men were the ones that fought the last battle. The whole thing about it is that they're fighting from the ground. So they put in landmines coming up to the fort. And when they were captured, Sherman made them dig up the landmines, willing to sacrifice the prisoners, and even the lieutenants and captains and like the higher ranking prisoners, which was like against the war codes. You don't do that. But he was destructive, Sherman, apparently, from what I've learned here. Whenever he took, over an area, he burned it to the ground. Everything was destroyed. Which doesn't make much sense to me, but I've heard of that in other battles, other victors, just, you take the spoils and burn everything else. so that there's nothing left for the people that are surviving there. Makes no sense to me, but that's what they did. And so he made them dig up the landmines that they had set so that his troops could walk around safely. And that is what happened. And there are pictures at the very beginning. You'll see one of the landmines, or a replica. I don't know if it's a real landmine left from the Civil War or not, but you'll see some cannonballs, and there's a round ball with a gold top on it. That's one of the landmines that they would, type of thing they used to set landmines, and then cover them with leaves. And the soldiers, the Union soldiers had no idea that they were there. So that's the story here. I hope you enjoy the videos and the fort. It's really kind of cool, and like I said, definitely interesting, different. And we got to go in some of the tunnels. It was like a little scary at first. I could see a really good haunted house going on here, going into those tunnels. Except there was only one way in and out. I forgot to tell you this. Sherman did destroy the fort, as his motto was, destroy it all. He did do that. Henry Ford, the car manufacturer, bought all the land years later. He wanted to plant rubber trees to make tires for his cars. I guess tires and whatever else rubber he would need. And he's excavating the grounds and found the remnants of the fort and had it rebuilt. So what you're seeing is a replica of the original, which is there. So still pretty cool. So it's not like a working fort. You're not allowed to walk on top of the mounds. They do have what looks like maybe light and venting fixtures, because they're like windows raised up. You can't go under where those were, so I don't know what those were for, or if those were like something that would have been kind of original for venting and lighting in the tunnels. I'm sure they had to use candles, lanterns, that kind of thing. Darn it, stop that. So anyway, we weren't allowed to stand on top of the mounds. But what we got was really cool. And when you went into the tunnels, it was like you get to the end of it and then you have to turn around and come out. I'm sure they weren't trapped in there that way, as, the original fort. They went through and you could do the whole thing underground, from what I understand, from the naturalists and park rangers that we talked to. So, again, I hope you enjoy it. It really is interesting. And I will see you guys in the next video, and that will probably be in Florida. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. These are salvaged Civil War ship, the USS Nashville, pieces that they took out of the waters just over that way, from Fort McAllister, where we're staying at Fort McAllister State Park. These are pieces of the shipwreck. Look at how rough honed that was. Interesting. So this sign, which you just saw a picture of, is about the sinking of the Nashville, CSS Nashville, Confederate ship. And this is where it sank. Somewhere between where I'm standing and that little island out there. This is more like high tide here, so the water is higher. At 10 o'clock, areas of this were just wet ground. But not right here. I think this is deeper. Kind of interesting. We're going on an adventure. We're in the bunker, in the earthen ground that's got brick walls. It comes out to nowhere. This is.
I wonder if that's available.
I wonder if that's where they heated up the. So we learned that they would heat the cannon shot, the big cannonballs, and then fire heated balls at the wooden ships, and they would set them on fire. So they probably ran through here with the. I don't know who's carrying that ball. That's hot. And out here. And up. And the cannon is on the other side of this wall. Up the steps. Here, wait. We'll take the run. Except I'm walking. Because you know me. There ain't no running happening here. And to there is the cannon. This is the front side of what we were just looking at from the back side. But there's the side. It says hot shot furnace. The hot shot oven was used to heat cannonballs red hot to set fire to the attacking wooden vessels. So that's what they did right here. Okay, here's another. No, because you got the light. Another place we can go into. So during, oh, there's a light in there. During this fort is all built underground, and it's called an earthen fort. And well, this is one of the like quarters that they lived in. And they're so far deep, apparently, that when bombs would come, or the, shells off the boats, they would just put a divot in the earth, and at night when the battle was over, the soldiers would go out and replace the divots, and their house was stable. And their fort remained stable. And this is... oh, boy. All the way back. Oh my goodness. Sherman destroyed the fort after he took over. Are you going to go back? Yeah. Sherman destroyed the fort, and when Ford, like the car manufacturer, Ford, bought all this property at one point, found out that this fort was here, and he had it renovated back to the way it was. And then the state took over, and this is what you get. I know it's really hard to see, so we'll get to a light. Let Roy go ahead of us. So this is, can you imagine all these men living under here? I'm sure there was no women. We saw a film, and it said during the last battle, got to the point they knew it was going to be the last battle. They weren't going to be able to survive it. It's a ventilation system. I don't know if they had a ventilation system back then, but they did have heat. Big, huge fireplace. Anyway, all but 200 men were released. Old men and anybody with a family. They were released, and there was 200 men left for the last battle, which they did not win. And there's where you put your guns. And then Sherman destroyed the mounds, and like I said, they were rebuilt. Go into another hole. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Lights are off. Oh, put your light back here. Oh, there's the table. And a light.
5-inch shelves.
Oh, so this is where they
kept their bullets.
Bullets and supplies. Oh, arsenal. Okay. We're coming back out.